Today, in honor of Mother's Day, I am going to attempt to give you the full evolution of moms in cinematic history in less than 8 minutes. Ready, set, go.
In my opinion, what made Lucy Ricardo so cool was that despite the 1950s traditional era of housewives staying at home, taking care of the home, taking care of the children, and pleasing the husband, Lucy had her own dreams, her own goals, and she wanted show business. In that time, it was unheard of. Like, women just did not do that. So I think what makes Lucy so special was that she was never willing to fully conform. She was willing to be a great mother. She was willing to be a great wife. But what she was not willing to do was sell herself short and lower her power, lower her strength, and become what other people believed she should become. Laura Petrie of The Dick Van Dyke Show was the traditional 1960s housewife mom. She was the perfectly responsible and dedicated wife to Robert and her son. She had a level of quiet control in her household. One thing we noticed with Laura, though, is that she didn't dress like the stereotypical housewife, in the dresses and the aprons, no. She wore the sensible pants and blouses. Today, the Laura Petries of the world are like unicorns. The housewife whose only concern is to tend to her son, please her husband, clean the home, and make cupcakes. She didn't work, and she didn't mind not working, because her family was her job, and she was really, really good at it. In 1968, we were introduced to a woman named Julia Baker. That's right, Diahann Carroll brought us Julia, the black professional mom, raising her son all by herself, but not struggling, not complaining, not doing anything crazy or illegal, just going to work. She was a black nurse, which at that time was kind of odd to see, seeing that a lot of black people weren't allowed to have professional positions like that. So watching Julia make single parenting look easy, glamorous, and empowering gave power to other women who were dealing with their own struggles for one reason or another. Julia was smart, classy, sensible, and independent, and a mom that we would all have been very lucky to have. In 1971, the show All in the Family gave us Edith Bunker. At first, Edith was timid, shy, and pretty much just did everything her husband wanted her to do, like most housewives. But throughout the series, we noticed Edith take a serious turn in her character. She evolved beyond what she believed a woman was worth and about from before. Her daughter Gloria gave her the strength to say no to the things she didn't believe in, to stand up for what she believed in, and to actually believe in something. Edith Bunker went from quiet, aloof, and taking orders to defying Archie and putting him right in his place. Many women of the time actually felt the same way. Many women were making the shift from the housewife to woman, to fully formed, fully functioning, full of thoughts and opinions women. And this is when we start to see a difference in what we consider the traditional mom. In 1974, the world was introduced to Good Times and their new favorite black mom, Florida Evans. Unlike her counterpart, Julia, Florida had a living husband and 3 kids, but struggled to survive in the projects of Chicago. In a time where many black women were living without their husbands and the fathers in the household, a lot of families were in financially destitute situations. But Good Times represented that despite the struggle, that the family unit was still dominant and important. Many saw Florida as their own mother and could relate to her struggles and the struggles of her family. With a little bit of humor, the Evans family enthralled all of us in their tragedies and their triumphs, including the death of James, which turned Florida into a single mother right before our eyes, causing her to scream the now infamous phrase, damn, damn, damn. Florida in Good Times, to many, was a glimpse into a world that many people had never lived. But to others, Good Times was a reflection of their day-to-day struggle, and Florida was the mom they knew and loved all too well. Mama's Family, which originally aired in 1983, featured Thelma Harper, the tough yet lovable mama, the grandmother figure that raised everyone in her family. Originally coming from a character from the Carol Burnett Show, it is essentially everyone's mother. The grandmother raised her kids, her grandkids, cousins, aunts, uncles, you name it. Everyone who ever had a need came through her front door. Despite her sometimes crude demeanor, she does a lot and she pushes the people in her charge to succeed and grow. At this point in our communities, we saw a lot of grandmothers taking on the role of raising their grandchildren and other extended family members while the mother and father struggled and tried to get themselves together. And this was such a vital role in many communities because had it not been for the role of the grandparents, these children would have been lost in the streets and so much worse off. She is the all-important surrogate mom, and so many people could relate to her and relate to having someone like her. Though the comedy and the blunt insults made it such a funny show, Thelma Harper's character was all about tough love and taking care of anyone that needed help. We need a whole lot more of this today, and we're thankful for the women like her that really made an impact on lives that they didn't have to take care of. Angela Bauer from the show Who's the Boss, that aired in 1984, is, in my opinion, the gender role rebel mom. She was the new normal woman with a twist. Instead of being the good little wife at home, cooking and cleaning, she worked hard at her career and hired herself, a male nanny and housekeeper, to take care of her son. Switching the gender roles and putting the women in charge of the household, even with the presence of a man, was a game changer for all women. She was the take charge woman who refused for her son to be raised in someone else's home, so she made a way. Strong yet sometimes neurotic, Angela shined a light on the new reality of many women in many families and showed that you can still have the happy ending and be exactly who you are. You just have to adjust the journey and acknowledge that stereotypical societal norms should not dictate who you are, how you behave, and what you do in life. Who didn't love Claire Huxtable? Brilliant, beautiful, and full of spunk and liveliness, in 1984, when The Cosby Show premiered, she captured our hearts as the hardworking lawyer by day and the traditional mother by night. She literally did it all and looked good while she did it. Unlike Florida and Julia, she wasn't single or struggling. Her family was thriving on the efforts of her and her husband. Although many said it was unrealistic, what with a black woman lawyer and a black male doctor raising a family of 6 children in a decent neighborhood in New York, many families lived this life and identified with it. And for those who didn't, Claire gave plenty of love and laughs, but she also imparted wisdom, knowledge, culture, and a sense of self-worth through the screen to people who could only dream of an existence like hers. She also gave us marriage goals. For the first time, we were seeing a loving black couple in intimate situations, sexually suggestive with each other, while not being raunchy or derogatory. There was no question how Claire and Cliff got all those kids. In 1990, we met Vivian Banks by the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air show. Vivian Banks was a brilliant professor and mother of three when she brought in her nephew to raise. She was a loving hand, yet a firm one. Growing up raised by her sister and eventually going to college and involving herself in the Black Panther movement, she and her husband pulled themselves up by their bootstraps and created a life that even the Huxtables would have envied. Vivian showed TV viewers what Black excellence looked like, and although they were a tad uptight, they were what many people wish they could be, wealthy and comfortable. Although Vivian and Phil had a butler to assist them, Vivian still raised her children and gave them tough love whenever they needed it, and they were all the better for it. Vivian also showed that there's more than one way to raise children and to have a family. Her children weren't about modesty or community activism. They were the New Age children that believed that they could be anything and nothing about their race or upbringing mattered. For a Black woman to raise her children in a way that made them believe that the color of their skin didn't matter as much as the content of their character and the quality of their minds was revolutionary and made a lot of young Black people realize that they could succeed on that level too. In 1999, we were introduced to Family Guy with the Lois Griffin mom. A far cry from Wilma Flintstone, Lois is the tough, logical, and loving mom. Oh gosh. In 1999, we were introduced to Family Guy's Lois Griffin, the modern cartoon mom. A far cry from Wilma Flintstone, Lois is tough, logical, and loving, yet she is wild and full of life and a few expletives when provoked. One thing that makes this mom so cool is her sexuality. She's not shy nor timid, and though she is always dressed modestly, she kept all the men wagging their tongues, including the family dog Brian. In 2002, George Lopez's Angie Lopez, the modern stay-at-home mom, was introduced to us all. She was the modern housewife supporting her husband and her family, and it was clear that they would have been lost without her. She dealt with the modern struggles of raising children that many moms have to deal with: slut-shaming, runaways, underage drinking, and she did so in a way that resonated with the current struggle of moms. After a certain point, feeling that she was no longer needed, she went out and started her own business, but still made sure that her presence was felt by her family. Also, she represented the MILF, the hot woman who just happened to be an awesome wife and mother. Angie wore whatever she liked and was still modest, but she also knew how to turn up the heat and turn heads. All in all, she had the most in common with the new millennium moms. What can't you say about Cookie Lyon? In 2015, the world was introduced to Empire and the world's most gangster mom. Cookie Lyon was a street hustler with dreams when they all went to hell. She did 17 years in prison to protect her family and their legacy. And when she came home, she shook up the entire empire. Cookie's not your everyday mom, but she represents the story that is never told. The story of the incarcerated Black mother fighting to get her life and her family back. This is a story that needed to be told due to the fact that thousands of women are locked up and largely removed from the family structure, leaving their children to be raised by a slew of aunts, uncles, and grandparents, along with the single father. Her style of parenting can be rough and full of beatings, but it's because she understands firsthand that there's nothing that a whooping will do that could be any worse than what the world and the law will do. She parents out of the fear of having 3 Black sons and knowing how the world sees them, especially Jamal, who's openly gay, and therefore treated even worse, even by his own father. Like many women who rejoin the family unit after a long absence, Cookie just wants to right the wrongs and claim what's rightfully hers. And despite her children's despicable father, all she really wants is for her family to be one unit again. So you see, TV moms really tell us a whole lot about where we are in history, where we've come from, and the roles and struggles of the women living these lives. Of course, they're make-believe characters, but they were the art that imitated the lives that we as women and mothers in the generations before us have been living, and illustrates our struggles and salvations through the time in a way that will resonate and have immortality. Thanks for watching. Happy Mother's Day!